Hi, I'm Alex Pault, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Today is Arts and Crafts Day, and we're going to take this G-Shock, which has been in my collection for a bit, and we're going to immerse it in plastic and make a desk clock out of it. Now, how can I use this if I immerse it in plastic, you may ask? Well, I specifically got a solar-powered, radio-controlled G-Shock. So as long as I don't use the functionality, it'll continue to just tell me the time, and it'll be corrected by the radio signal. And as long as it gets some sun, it'll keep running. So it'll be a cool little desk clock immersed in plastic. I can just leave it on the coffee table, and I have a very accurate time chop that I could also set my regular watches to. Wristwatch check, I'm wearing my Omega Globemaster annual calendar on a blue leather strap with off-white. It used to be white, but of course it doesn't stay that way. Stitching. I've got a couple of straps for this, but I like to put this on a more casual strap when I'm doing casual things. So before I turn the camera around, though, please remember to subscribe. It helps the channel tremendously. Let's immerse this in plastic. Here's our setup. We are using the Home epoxy resin clear crystal kit. It's a very straightforward one-to-one mix system where you just simply mix the resin and the hardener in equal amounts, and you got about a 40-minute work time. And we're going to need less than that for this operation. There's our target, and first they say put on gloves, but before I put on the gloves, I'm going to set up the immersion rig, because we're going to want the mold to be able to be filled and the watch to sit there in the middle of the space without it really moving around, right? So what I don't know what other people do, but I decided it's probably best to use like a set of hands. I have a set of third hand here, and we don't need the magnifying glass, and we're just going to have it hold a piece of wire, which we will then suspend the watch from and immerse it up to that point where I'm holding it, cut the wire loose, let it set a little bit, let it set a little bit first, then cut the wire loose, and then fill the rest of the mold. So there might be a little delineation line visible at the bottom of the watch strap, but I don't think it'll be big if we keep it clean and no dust or anything gets in there that could cause the resin to form a layer. I'm going to pour more resin before it completely sets. I'm going to wait until it's hard enough for the watch not to shift, and then I'm going to pull the wire out and pour some more resin into the mold. So let's set up the wire. I've got a piece of wire here, and we're going to cut it with a little Leatherman here. So we're going to take our watch, and we want it to be at an angle, right? So I'm going to hang it from right about here, right? So that way, well, let's give it an eyeball. It would be, I think the angle would be too aggressive there, so let's hang it here. That's a good angle. Okay, so now we take it and we put the third hands and the other piece of the wire here, right? We bend it a little bit, get some dip in it. There we go. Is it touching the bottom? No, let's see, pull it up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, it's got some good headroom there. Get my angles right, have it hang in there properly. Need some depth. All right, where is it hanging? I'm gonna have to adjust this more. All right, so let's pause. Actually, I'll pause it. We'll move it here, and yeah, let's pause it, and I'll adjust it a little bit more. Alright, so let's try like that. Alright, that's dangling at the right angle. We need to then put it on something. So a jar here. Put it on top of the jar. And then we got this, we can put it here. And then we adjust it by putting it down. In. There we go. So now we got it where we want it. Okay, I think we're ready. Now pour the mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure using one of the scales here. We got a liquid measure here, liter. All right, so it goes to 400. So what we'll do is we'll pour to 200, and we'll pour then the rest to 400. So we've got a straight up half and half. So I'm going to pour the resin in. We pour it in. We got 200. I hope I have enough. Well, let's go to 150, and need to make sure I have enough left over. Well, I can. Let's go to 200. Let's go to 200. I still have a little bit left. Okay, so that's 200. Cap it back. And then we go to 400. And then it'll be a 50-50 mix. I break the seal on the top. And this is the resin. Okay, so now we got an even mix. We take our stirring stick and we stir. It says to stir for about 3 minutes or so, so we'll probably cut some of this stirring time out of the video. But we're going to stir for a while. Stir and stir, and I'm going to switch hands and stir. You know, this would be the point where I should put maybe on the gloves. Because if I get any of this stuff on my fingers, I would regret having forgotten that these gloves that are sitting right in front of me could have protected my skin from a sticky mess. I do have some bubbles because I was stirring so energetically, but I guess as long as the bubbles are relatively small, I'm not going to mind too much. It's a household project anyway. Any bubbles that are here are intentional bubbles. That's exactly what I'm going to tell people. So we'll give it another minute to sit. It said just let it sit once you've stirred it. And then we'll pour. Yeah, like I said, I stirred it a little bit too energetically, and so I got some bubbles, but I'm not that worried. But here we've got our stirred result. Eyeball the mold one more time, and it looks good, so we're just going to do it. Pour it right in. I'll use the stirring stick to make sure it's properly positioned. All right. and then I'll probably, it's supposed to cure for 18 to 24 hours, and you have 40 minutes of working time. So we're going to give it about a half an hour, and I'm going to come back and see if we either have to make some more of this, or we might be able to use what's in there. But I'm guessing we're probably going to have to make some more. And I'm going to toss that cup when I'm done anyway. All right, so let's switch off the camera and turn it back on in a half an hour. So it's a half an hour later, a little bit more than half an hour later. I see a lot of the bubbles are rising. With luck, it'll be all gone. It's still pretty fluid. So we'll give it a little bit more time. I want it to get solid enough so that I can cut and pull the wire out of the way without it messing up the plastic too much and giving it some give to close up behind the little holes the wires would leave. So let's give it another half hour. So interestingly enough, the resin in the can is still pretty fluid, but the resin in the mold is pretty hard. So what we'll do is we'll cut the wire and then pull it through and hope that that doesn't cause us any issues. So we're gonna cut the wire. And then I'm going to cut it here just to get the rig out of the way. All right, and then we'll grab it with the pliers and see if we can, oh, it's actually quite warm. So let's pull it out. All right, so I wound up actually making a bit of a miscalculation because it does look good. All right, there are some bubbles, but I'm not going to stress about them too much. It is, like I said, a household project. This stuff is still pretty liquid, so I'm just going to pour it in right on top. Waste not. And so, yeah, you'll still see pieces of wire from sticking out of the bottom of the watch, but at least the watch itself will be completely immersed. All right, so now let's let that cure for a day. We'll pick this up again tomorrow. I hope nobody comes in here and messes with it. Well, I live alone, so that shouldn't be an issue. So here we are. It's the next day. And let's take a look at what we have. All right. Oh, it looks good. Okay, I mean, like I said, I got more bubbles in it than I'd like, but not bad. And this is a flexible mold, so I'm just going to peel it off in a flexible fashion. There we go. Okay, like I said, there are a lot more bubbles than I'd like. And you can see the piece of wire in here that I used to hold the watch up. And you can see a little dividing line of where the second layer of plastic went in. But overall, it looks great. And you can see the time. And it's functional. So, and I think the bubbles are okay. It's the craft. It's a handicraft. And I made it at home. I'll do better next time if I ever do it again. I probably won't do it again, but this was good for the one-off cool desk clock thingy because it'll still do everything I intended it to. All right, cool. So let's turn around the camera and call it a day. So that was embedding a G-Shock into a block of plastic. Good way to make a little cute desk clock. Like I said, more bubbles than I had hoped, but it was my first attempt, and doesn't look bad for a first attempt, bubbles and all. So, thanks for taking the time to humor me, watching me do this, and have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe.